So Ryan, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming in. They're not scripted. They really are. Where are you from?
I'm from Boston, Mass. By the way, AJ, can you hear me back there? We're just going to share this one. Here you go, Paul.
So Ryan, tell me what led you to choose Gettysburg?
I picked Gettysburg based off of my high school Algebra 2 teacher. She was a great teacher. She couldn't have spoken more highly of Gettysburg. She's a class of '03, and she really pushed my mom to get me to apply. I didn't want to leave the city of Boston, but I came down for Get Acquainted Day, saw campus, and I was convinced.
What is it about the city of Boston that you love?
I definitely feel a strong connection to home. My family's been there since we came over to the country in the 1850s. Huge Boston sports fan, so that's there. My family's there, and it's just always been home. I want to move there, once I graduate.
So since 1850, it's a long time to be in one place. Is there anything I should know about you that would help me get you, just knowing that your family's been in the States for that long?
I don't know. My family's been in the States for that long, but I'm still new to the whole college thing. I'm the first one in my family to travel to college. Everyone before me has worked in the trades as plumbers, so that's how I'm the first one.
So you've signed up for the leadership certificate for a reason, I'm sure. How do you define leadership?
I think leadership is a pretty complex but sometimes overly analyzed thing. I think it's an intangible thing that everyone in this room can probably look around and acknowledge, say that's a leader. But I think there's a lot of stereotypes that come along with it, so you don't need to be president of what you are. You don't need to be a senator to be a leader. You can do so without having a fixed role.
Can you share anyone that's been in your life that's been a role model of someone that's offered leadership?
First, would you like that with a formal leader or informal? No position.
Let's go informal.
So as he said informal. So I'll talk on behalf of a friend of mine, Sean Sabino, who Mike and AJ know quite well. Coming in last year, Sean was really a role model to me. He gave me a lot of advice. I still talk to him every day even though he graduated, lives in DC now, but we're in the same fraternity. He didn't have a formal position, but very well-respected voice in the house, and gave me a lot of great advice that helped me become who I am.
So as you think about this year, are there any leadership skills that you hope to learn?
I would definitely like to learn how to be a leader who is more trusting of the people around him. I think I sometimes tend to be someone that is super hands-on, which can be good as a leader, to lead from the front, lead by example, but also it's hard to do so and not sometimes undermine the people around you. So I want to make sure that they still feel that I trust them.
Yeah, trust is really important. Thanks for sharing that with me. Yeah. So, next time we get together, we're going to discuss expectations, things that you need from me, and things that I hope for your experience. So thanks, Ryan. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Paul.
What's on your mind today?
That's a hard question. Anything? I think motivation. I'm taking a motivation course right now, and I think for so long I've been very interested in motivation and doing research about it, but now having a professor that I'm really passionate about at Gettysburg and a course that I'm very passionate about too, I think is a great reinforcement to stay motivated on campus.
What else?
Um, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe handling everything in terms of not only coursework, but the things that I'm also involved in. I think I put a lot on my plate. However, I think I'm handling it very well. At times it does get overwhelming and it does get stressful. Today felt very long, very long. I went into Commons and Maria asked me, she said, how are you? I gave her my order and then I said, I need that espresso shot. That's how am I, but yeah.
I know coming into this year, you knew it was going to be a tough year, but you still set some goals. How are you progressing as you've attempted to meet some of those goals?
I had a facilitation this morning and we were setting SMART goals, and it kind of reminded me of my own goals when I initially started training for Leadership Mentor in August. I think the initial one that I had was with sentence fillers, because I became very self-conscious about always saying like, and I think, I do say but I think that's to catch my breath sometimes. However, like is one of the biggest ones that I realize I really don't need when I speak. So when I was making sure I accomplished that goal and making it measurable, I think I had it in the back of my mind, but if I wasn't creating a SMART goal on it, it wasn't going to work. And when I made myself see how can I make it measurable, I started in my journal putting down little squares, and each square would represent each time I spoke. It could be for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or just 2 minutes. In that little square, I would write the number from 0 to 3. 3 being the most that I can say like in that particular time frame that I had of speaking. So my goal was every time I spoke, at most, I would say like 3 times at most. And I think having that on my journal became very beneficial, because then when I would just jot down every time I spoke, I would become more self-conscious, and in a good way, because I became more self-aware. And every time I spoke, I realized I really don't need to say like. I would stop, gather my thoughts, and then continue speaking. So it's going pretty well, I think. Maybe when I'm with my friends, let's be realistic. When I'm with my friends, or maybe if I'm getting to know a couple students, I'll say like. However, if it's in a formal setting, and it doesn't even have to be a formal setting, if I'm speaking about something that I'm very passionate about, I'll refrain from saying like.
I've seen you in a couple situations this year, and you have improved so much, so much. Last question for today. This is a hard one. What do you want from this year?
I think, like, I know what I'm gonna say, I'm just trying to word it, but when I initially motivated myself and pushed myself to apply for the leadership, Garthwaite Leadership Center, I was aware that I felt prepared. I know my first year, I kept pushing myself. Yeah, like you want to be involved with the Garthwaite Leadership Center, become a leadership mentor, but I don't think I was ready. My sophomore year, I gathered myself. I really reflected on myself and became much more self-aware. I did the Emerging Leaders Retreat my sophomore year, and that's when it clicked with me. And everyone in Emerging Leaders Retreat reminded us of applying for the Garthwaite Leadership Center. And I think what I want out of this year is giving back to my community. Now that I feel prepared, now that I feel ready, how am I going to give back to my community and serve as a resource for students, first years, sophomores, and possibly seniors, you know? Or they can serve as a resource for me because I'm just a junior, so we'll see.
Let's give Danny a hand. So the coaching role is complex. You saw that it's mostly asking questions and listening. The coaching role is one that we do very little work. Most of the work is done by y'all. So we wanted to invite one of our returning coaches, Jenny Brickner, who's done this for a number of years for us, to talk about her experience as a coach and provide some words of wisdom to you. So Jenny?
Hi, my name is Janie Breitner. For those who have never met me, I'm a supervisor of cash operations. So most of you have seen me buzzing around the bullet hole or closing down the register at the Commons or the Dive. I'm always willing to help you or talk to you about this or anything else you're going through, or if you have a food complaint or request, let me know. Annie and Paul had asked me to come speak with you about the Garthwaite Leadership Center certificate, and it's my honor and delight to speak about the program since it's something that I feel really passionately about. Before I go into some specifics about the coaching experience, I want to give you a piece of unconventional wisdom through a story. A new pastor at a new church was speaking with an experienced pastor about his frustrations. The new pastor felt overwhelmed to the point he was losing his passions in his work. Every week, more and more people filled the church. The preacher continued to set up more chairs to accommodate all the newcomers, who he considered to be a blessing, but this meant new names to remember when he barely had time to remember the new names he met that previous week. More programs to plan, more shut-ins to visit, more people he had to reach with a well-thought-out and inclusive message every week. His advisor, the experienced pastor, reminded him that the growth was a good thing, but also reminded him that he was the person that kept putting up the chairs. So every time in our lives we have a new commitment, we set up a new chair to take on that commitment. So let's say school. This is pretty good. Anything else to do, right? You're really focused on school. And then you set up another chair, right? How many people are student athletes? How many? Yeah? So that sport that you participate in is another chair that you set up. Okay, so now you have two commitments. You can spend some time in this one, and then you can get up and you can kind of stretch a little bit, and you can sit in this chair, and it's not so bad. And now you have GLC, right? So we can pull up that third chair. And what's cool is, you being a student athlete, you can probably swindle something with your practical experience and the GLC. So guess what you get to do? You get to sit in two chairs at the same time. Oh yeah. Then you can go back to the third chair. And this is pretty easy to balance. Now if I then started to include the two chairs behind me, it's gonna start to look like I'm playing musical chairs with myself. And it's really hard to do because you're balancing too many commitments and you're gonna spend less and less time in each chair. In our lives, we keep putting up new chairs. We're always asked to do more, volunteer more, join more clubs, take on more responsibility at work or school, throw a party, help a friend. Now, it's very manageable if you only take on one or two things. With one or two chairs, you have time to sit in each one. You may be able to even sit in two at once, as I showed you. But then you add a third, and a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth. And it gets overwhelming, and no matter how big your butt is or how big your ambitions are, you can't sit in them all at once. When you overcommit, you can barely scratch the surface and all the things that you're committed to. So you're only able to pick the low-hanging fruit, never being able to dive fully into the subject. Being spread so thin, being overworked, and losing passion is not a way to go about your life. My unconventional wisdom is to take down some chairs. It's okay not to do it all. It's okay not to say yes to everyone. And it's okay to give yourself the gift and pleasure to focus your time and energy. It's okay to be great at a few things instead of mediocre at many. The reason I decided to join GLC to coach is to remind people that leadership means many things, but it's also not what it seems. It's not held by a position, and it does not mean you have to be smiling and happy and great every minute of the day. It doesn't mean you have to say yes to everyone. Doesn't mean you're going to be liked by everybody. It's a hard road. I wanted to be a coach to help you shift your perception, as a lot of coaches want to help you shift your perception and see what leadership really means. To think about things in new ways and know that everyone can be a leader in their own way. Leadership is about building trust, doing the right thing when no one's watching, being engaging, showing initiative, taking action, having courage, practicing patience, taking the unfamiliar road. That list can get pretty lengthy, right? Leadership means a lot of things. And you'll hear a lot of people talk about what leadership's not. So we use both paradigms to try to convey this image of what we think about leadership. It's many things, and the GLC's Leadership Certificate Program will help you recognize those things. I implore you to commit yourself to this, and if you're invested enough, it can be life-changing. That's why students return to be group leaders and continue to invest in this program that takes them great places. As a coach, it's my job to do one thing: facilitate your process. That one thing means I'm here to support you. I'm going to help you recognize your vision, your purpose, and your talents. Hopefully, you'll learn a lot of new things about yourself. I'll help you develop a strategy for growth and one that you can realistically sustain. Through the process, your coach will give you feedback, and they'll be there for you if you're not sure. Your coach can guide you in the right direction and help you with resources along your way. You'll have monthly meetings, and depending on what you and your coach decide, you can have more or less, depending on what time of year, what's good for the both of you, and how well you're doing with the program. I would like to encourage you that as you're taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with your coach, that you come prepared, and also know that this is a time commitment from your coach. But it's something you both believe in and want to be a part of. So go in with an open mind, and at first you may not know your coach, but you should appreciate what they have to offer you, and by the end you'll know them much better, and you'll probably be friends. I see all three of my students that I coached last year. Having a leadership coach that is part of the Gettysburg College community is very beneficial. They're really involved, knowledgeable, and skilled, and you should use them to your advantage. You'll benefit tremendously from getting to know them, and are encouraged to use them as a networking resource. Every coach that participates, like myself, has had an extensive training provided by the Garthwaite Leadership Center, and some of them have had leadership workshops besides the one provided by the GLC like I have. I feel like I've been training practically my whole life to do this. I've taken on lots of civic roles through high school and college, and right now I'm the chair for Support Staff Council, who works to support staff on campus. Having a coach that is a member of the college community is a chance for you to see leadership in a different light through a real experienced professional. You're strategically matched with your coach based on carefully conducted surveys and personality considerations. Every member that participates in the program will have a different experience based on who their coach is, and that's okay. You might hear your friends that really connect with their coach. If you don't connect with your coach as much, that's okay too. You might want to take an opportunity to meet with that coach, or bring your friend to your coach that might unveil a different part of them. I encourage you to put up your chair and reserve your seat in GLC's certificate program like most of you have already had. Commit to it, and keep in mind that this experience is what you make of it. The more effort, energy, and thought you put into it, the more you'll develop, the more you'll learn, and the better leader you'll be. We appreciate you putting up a chair and committing to the certificate program. I would like to leave you with just a few things. Make sure your actions and your words are adding value to the world around you. Please remember, you can easily judge the character of a man by how he treats those who can do nothing for him. So I want you to get ready to be a leader, be yourself, and create change. At this time, I would like to introduce Cameron Sowers, who is a participant in last year's Garthwaite Leadership Certificate Program. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cameron Sowers. I'm a sophomore here. I'm originally from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I'm a history major with minors in public history and Civil War era studies. Last year I participated in the certificate program, and I'm coming back here tonight to just talk about my experience and reflect on my development as a leader. So you have to ask yourself, why are you here? A year ago, I asked myself that same question about the leadership certificate. Certainly, I thought it would look good at my resume, but you have to look at more than just your resume. You have to look at the person behind that resume and why you care about your own leadership development. For me, I saw my leadership development as a way to benefit the organizations that I'm a part of. I wanted to make my club's meetings more efficient, and I wanted to make my teams better. My practical experience last year was the mock trial team, where I worked through thick information packets to prepare information to give to my teammates so we could show up to our tournaments more prepared. It was an unenviable dry task. It was late nights, early mornings. It sucked, I'm not gonna lie about it, but it was worth it because it benefited the people around me. It benefited people I cared about, and that was what was important to me. But my leadership development didn't stop when my practicals experience did. This summer, I served as one of the Brian C. Pohanka interns at Harpers Ferry National Historical Park. And I'm going to tell you a story about my experience. It was a Saturday afternoon, and we were severely understaffed, even more so than usual. It was me and another intern at a station where there should be 4 interns and a park ranger. I was focused on family and youth-based activities when a crisis not handing out coloring books broke out. That busy Saturday afternoon escalated when a breathless man came running up to me and told me there was someone in the nearby river yelling for help. In that moment, we could not afford to be paralyzed by fear. My coworker went running for a radio while I went running to the banks of the river. And I stood there, yelling to a man 100 yards downstream, trying to keep his head above water, trying to see if he could find one of the rocks that dots the river to brace himself on. I had to keep my wits about me and make sure the rescue team could come in and save this man. I had to try to figure out what was going on, how he ended up where he was, control the public, and make sure no one freaked out. The rescue team came in and got this guy. I don't know how I would have reacted to this scenario if I didn't have my GLC experience. I might have panicked and shut down and not focused on my responsibilities in this scenario. I knew what to do, but that wasn't a guarantee that I could do it. The GLC is about making sure in those moments where leadership is needed, you're there to step up and be a leader. The GLC made me look at myself and become more self-aware of who I was as a leader. I had to think about my actions, so I yell less and I coach more. I think about the impact of my words and actions on others before I do them. Now, thankfully in life, not every leadership scenario is a man drowning in a river, at least hopefully not. More often than not, especially when you're here on campus, it's going to be trying to keep a meeting on task, taking the initiative in a group project. Then you will learn, much like I did, that anyone can be a leader. You will meet people in your small groups who are leaders in organizations across campus that you didn't even know existed. Listen and learn from them, because they will do the same to you. The leadership certificate is going to help you work on your skills to develop your own unique leadership style. The author Robert Louis Stevenson once wrote, "Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant." For me, these sessions and the foundation of leadership sessions that you're going to have were about planting seeds. So I could go and reap the rewards when I had club meetings, I was at my internship, or working my job. And don't overlook what you may do when you think you're free, as you guys just heard. The time you'll spend in Servo, in the new Cub, or in the library speak to your development as a person and as a leader. In a world that seems to be marked by chaos and strife, take time and invest in yourself. We need leaders to guide us through troubling times. Whether you aspire to be a doctor, politician, a business person, you name it, you can have a positive impact. My development started with this program. Even on campus, your leadership development is going to benefit this student body. Whether that's running a club, planning an event, or just being a good person, we all benefit. I will benefit from your development as a leader. This campus community is going to benefit from your development as a leader. And it's not always convenient to balance your time between the GLC and everything else that life is going to throw at you, but it's certainly doable. Make time to meet with your coach. Make time for the foundations of leadership sessions. Organize yourself, organize your time. I was able to meet weekly with my coach last year for an hour every single Thursday afternoon. You don't have to meet that often for that long. My coach and I just kind of like to hang out and talk about hockey, but maybe we talked about hockey players that were being leaders. I got along well with them. Try and get along with your coach. Take time to get to know them, because they're going to be a huge part of your life. Use the calendar feature on your phone. Use a planner to track what's going on for you. Budget some GLC time every week. Every night before I go to bed, I write out a sticky note for myself for the next day. Everything I have to accomplish the next day goes on that note. Whether it's class, meetings, objectives, goals, whatever I've got going on that I need to get done, that goes on the sticky note for the next day. And I don't go to bed until that sticky note's finished. Organization's gonna do you good. It's hard to keep track of other people when you cannot keep track of yourself. You don't have to spend an hour a night on reflections, but maybe take 15 minutes for the GLC a night, 15 minutes a week. Think about the reflection questions you're gonna get and ponder them. Find a way to make it work for you. The staff here at the GLC, your coaches, they want to see you succeed. They're willing to work with you. They will help you get and stay on track. They care about you. Every time I see Andy on campus, he greets me warmly, and I still talk to my coach. Certificate is about you developing as a leader, and everyone wants to see the potential that can be unlocked within you. So now that I've finished with the GLC, I'm a man of many chairs here on campus. Right now, I serve as a fellow at the Civil War Institute. I'm the Senate Club Rep for the Civil War Club. I'm an editor for the College Historical Review. I host a radio show at 91.1 WZT. I'm a member of the mock trial competition team, and when I'm not there, I can be found at a DCF Bible study. And don't be a stranger. If you see me around, you're curious about something I said, you want to pick my brain as someone who doesn't work for the GLC, someone who went through the certificate and is now out on the campus, I'd be happy to chat, pick my brain. I'm always out and around, normally in the bottom floor of the library, frustrated at a printer. So if that's your spot. I saw a couple of smiles. Sophomores know exactly what I'm talking about. Jen, I know you're talking. Printers, frustrating. That's not what I'm here for. That's it. That's what I've got. I gave you guys my 5 minutes. For you, I'm sure you're happy to hear, I can dismiss you for a 5-minute break.
Whoa, that is great. Hi, everybody. My name's Christina. Sorry, I'm just grabbing my notes. I'm the project lead for the leadership certificate. I'm a senior, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. So thank you all for being here tonight. I'm so excited to meet all of you. I think, or if not, your learning group leaders have passed around time commitment sheets. I just want to clarify something. X means it's mandatory. NA means you don't have to go to it, like not applicable. You don't have to go to it. And then optional means optional. So I just wanted to make that clear. So I'm gonna sit down. It's more comfortable. In terms of the time commitments, you can see the dates that we expect you to go to things. And obviously to get the most out of this program, we expect you to be at everything. And I understand that that's difficult and life happens, and things are, life sometimes gets in the way of that. But it's really important that you commit yourself this semester and this year to this program. So while we understand that we want you to do everything, we understand that things happen. And so you're going to be getting access to a Moodle page, which I'll talk about in 1 second. But if you can't come to an event, we have an absence form that you can fill out there with all the information. You can fill out your absence in advance. So if you know right now that you have a class at Foundations of Leadership Session 1, fill that form out. But let's say there's an emergency in your life, you have a hospitalization maybe, you can fill it out then too. Again, take care of yourself first though. If you're having trouble with the time commitment, if you're confused about anything, you need clarification, we're here for you. Come to the office. We're in Cub 202. We'd be happy to talk to you. You can reach out to your learning group leader or reach out to your coach. In terms of communication from us, we are going to be using Moodle a lot this year. So for first years, if you haven't used Moodle before, a lot of your classes will require it. So you just log on to the Gettysburg, or you go to the Gettysburg website, you go to students, and Moodle is one of the links. There you'll find all of your information. But, there's a catch. Right now we're having some technical issues with Moodle, so you should be getting access within the next few days. So if you don't have access right now, it's okay, but you should have it in a few days. So if you're wondering, you have questions about the program, check Moodle first. If you don't find your answer there, you can email glc@gettysburg.edu. You can ask your learning group leader, or you can ask your coach about it, okay? And you can also stop by the office anytime during business hours. You can walk in and ask us your questions. A lot of you, I think, have done registration chats. For those of you that haven't, please make sure you sign up and you come to them by Friday, by tomorrow. We're also asking that you complete an exit survey. So we want to know what this experience was like for you. We want to make sure we conveyed the information clearly. So that exit survey you can get on Moodle, and you need to fill that out by the 23rd. So November 23rd, or no, sorry, September. We're in September. September 23rd by midnight, okay? And if you choose, so obviously we want all of you to be part of this program. We want to help you develop your leadership skills, but if you don't think this program is for you, or you are overwhelmed currently and want to do this program in the future, that's okay. We understand. So if you want to withdraw from the program, you can do that on Moodle as well. The link is on, right when you open up, there's a welcome page, and the link for the withdrawal form is there. If you choose to withdraw, please fill out that form again by September 23rd. And then the final thing is, we're here for you. So yes, there's a lot of you in the room, but each and every one of you are individuals, and we want to help you and help make this experience as great as possible. So whether that's coming to me in my office hours, or going to see your LGL, or talking to your coach, please let us know what we can do to help you be the best leader you can possibly be. I'll probably answer a lot of these questions, but if I need to pass it off to someone else, I will do that as well. How are leadership coaches selected for each individual student, and are the coaches volunteer faculty? So basically we have a coach matching process. We work really hard to try to match you with a coach that we think will work. So if you have any specific requests for a coach, or the coach has any specific requests for students, we match those together. And then based on anything else that we know about you, we'll try to match you as best as possible. You will be finding out about your coach match. Sorry, I'm just looking for the date. You will receive the info September 28th. Is there anything else you want me to add about it? Okay. Coaches are volunteers, so they don't get paid for doing this. So we have faculty members, we have administrators, we have staff members, and they're not paid. This is purely volunteer, because they want to help you become the best leaders you can be. How will the certificate potentially help us secure a job in the future? That's a really great question. So leadership skills are one of the most important things that employers look for. And so by developing your leadership skills, whether that's with the GLC for this program or doing it in some other capacity, it will help you become a more competitive applicant. Employers want good leaders. And if you can articulate your skills, whether that's in a one-on-one conversation or in an interview, that will be really helpful. Some of the skills that we talk about is self-awareness, integrity, communication. Those are all things that are important for a job. And if you can talk to your employers about the skills that you have learned, it will make you more competitive. And it's also, leadership is not something, or as we talked about, leadership is something that lies within all of us, and it's just about tapping into that potential. And if you can articulate that to an employer, that would be really wonderful. It's also really applicable to any volunteer work that you're doing or service work. What are some statistics about the Gettysburg College alumni? Good question. I don't know those statistics off of the top of my head. Paul, I'm going to pass this over to him, and he can answer some questions. But something that's really exciting about our alums is that we have an alumni mentor retreat, and that's for juniors and seniors, and you can go and meet alums and network with them. And then Foundations of Leadership Session 1, which is called GLS, is where we're going to have a panel of returning alums, and they're going to talk about what leadership means to them. So we have several programs that utilize our alums.
Thanks, Christine, and I appreciate the complexity of this question. So if I don't fully answer it for whoever asked it, come talk to me afterwards and we can talk data and science. I love spreadsheets. Okay, so the GLC Leadership Certificate Program has been around. This is the 4th year. So some folks that were first years are now just seniors. So we don't have a lot of graduation data specifically on GLC LC participants, Leadership Certificate alums yet. What we do know is that the GLC serves over 1,400 students each year. Gettysburg College only has about 2,300, so it's more than half of the student body every year is touched by something that the GLC does. We also know that Gettysburg College alumni, within 1 year, 98% of them either have a job or are in grad school or going to grad school. So the GLC contributes to that statistic. The other thing we know statistically is that leadership is the #1 skill that employers are desperate for. There's a 1982 alum that actually comes back and helps us with our training, and he talks to our leadership mentors every year and says, we need you. We need people that don't just know how to do the technical work of a job, but actually know how to work together. The GLC contributes to that. We're trying to meet that hunger. So again, those aren't really specific statistics like I think you were asking for, so if you want to talk with me, I'd be happy to chat with you afterwards.
So I know that we're close to running out of time, but I just wanted to open this up. Does anybody have any questions about the program? It's okay if you don't. Okay. So I just want to clarify, these are all of the dates that are really, really important. So take note of them. Anything with an X is mandatory. Again, you can't make it, fill out the absence form. And any form of communication, you can email us, stop by the office, check Moodle. Okay? You can also contact your LGL.